Opposition to the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is no longer something that comes only from protesters on Kaplan Street or rivals in the Knesset. It now includes senior figures in Israel's own security system who share the end goal of dismantling Hamas, but object to the way and the when. The failed attempt to decapitate Hamas's political leadership in Doha crystallizes that divide. Two fault lines stand out. First, the Mossad director David Barnea opposed a ground operation in Qatar, warning it would rupture a vital channel with Doha that Israel itself has relied upon to mediate hostage and ceasefire talks. When Mossad would not execute a ground plan, it was scoped. The government shifted to an air option that missed its principal targets and killed aides and a Qatari officer. The choice of method flowed from the institutional objection. Secondly, the timing. The IDF chief of staff, Eyal Zamir, and the head of the hostage negotiations team were reported to have urged delay. While a US-backed outline for a hostage deal was under discussion, their view was simple. The people we are trying to free are made less safe if we strike in the middle of talks. The Wall Street Journal's reconstruction shows how far Israel stretched to avoid regional airspace, launching long-range air-launched ballistic missiles from jets over the Red Sea with only minutes of notice to Washington. That technical audacity impressed some, but the outcome strengthened critics who say the strike delivered diplomatic damage without decisive military effect. Opposition within Israel is sharpened by the external blowback because it narrows Israel's room for maneuver. Qatar has been reassessing its mediation role. France, Germany, and the UK issued an unusual joint condemnation of the Doha strike, warning it risks further escalation and could derail a hostage deal. Israeli officials know that when core European partners and the main Gulf intermediary harden their stance, the cost will be paid in slower diplomacy and longer exposure for captives. The Prime Minister's public line is that striking Hamas leaders on foreign soil can shorten the war and signal that sanctuary is a fiction. Yet this week, even Washington's analysis was the attack undercut. Washington's analysis was that the attack undercut the ceasefire track and blindsided an ally. For officials whose duty is to weigh ends against means, that combination looks like a strategy giving way to impulse. This is not a debate about whether Hamas leaders should be hunted, or on that there is broad agreement. It's a debate about sequence and leverage. Secure the hostages first, keep the Qatari channel open, then complete the ledger of accountability. When Mossad, the IDF chief, and the hostage team all caution against a specific window, that becomes institutional opposition in the narrow, disciplined sense of the term. The Doha episode lands as the UN General Assembly advances a two-state framework that much of the world supports and Israel's government rejects. That international alignment increases pressure on Israeli leaders who must manage both the war and the day after. Inside Israel, critics argue that high-risk, low-yield raids that isolate partners make strategic planning harder, not easier. And from Munich to Tehran, Israel has used patient, precise reprisals. The professional criticism about Doha is that it inverted that doctrine. It traded patience for spectacle, precision for political timing, and gained little. If the mission is to free Israelis and degrade Hamas's senior leadership, the security establishment's message is to resequence talks first, targeted removals when channels have yielded what they can. Opposition to Mr. Netanyahu inside Israel is not rooted in softness, it is rooted in statecraft. Kill lists can wait a year, hostages cannot. The war aims are shared, but the ordering of tasks is not. That is why this week's dissent matters. It was a vote for leverage over catharsis, prudence over bravado, and outcomes over headlines. And whatever one's judgment about Israel may be, it's quite clear that Netanyahu is on very thin ice. And when his own security forces brief against him in the world media, as they are doing today, because this story could only get out with a briefing. I think Netanyahu's days are numbered in office, and maybe that is a positive.